Wake Up Wake County and the Wake County League of Women Voters present the 2013 Raleigh Mayor and City Council Candidates Forum. Moderating the forum is Marian Lewin of the Wake County League of Women Voters.
All candidates for City Council and Mayor run for 2-year terms. In the City Council, there are 5 district seats and 2 at-large seats. Voters may vote for the district candidates in the district in which they live. All voters in the City of Raleigh vote for the 2 at-large positions and for the mayor. All candidates are nonpartisan, meaning they are not running as representatives of a political party. This is a forum. A forum is designed to give all the candidates an opportunity to present themselves and to speak on the issues. We're going to start with that question: what are your top priorities if elected? And just for the sake of starting, we're going to start with Mr. Hill from District C.
Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Marcus Hill. I'm running for Raleigh City Council District C. Thank you all for hosting. My top priorities, if elected, are to try to reassert the sovereignty of the individual and of their property rights here in the city. We hear a lot of talk about sustainability and sustainable development and smart growth, but in all of those buzzwords and all of those pretty sounding phrases, we don't hear a lot of property rights, private property rights, or much besides lip service given to them. I think that it is important, especially in a city of 400,000 people, that everyone's individual property rights are well respected. And I think in this 21st century city, we can certainly begin to do that in a way that is sustainable. So.
All right, you can pass the mic down.
Well, we have a distraction right here with this pole, but
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
everybody can see me.
I think the cameras can still see
okay.
you. And I think people, if you speak really loud, they'll hear you.
All right. Eugene Weeks, representing the District C on the City Council. Been on the City Council for almost 3 years. Appointed in April of 2010, re-elected in October of 2010. Priorities that I look for the city is that we continue to increase our transit procedures that we are using to make sure we have adequate transportation for all citizens in the city of Raleigh, and especially in Southeast Raleigh. Continue to have a dialogue where we work with the infrastructure of our roads and increase the quality of life for our citizens, to make sure that the city, and another priority, that we stay within our debt ceiling on what we have to do as far as some of the things that we need to do, and also to make sure that we keep open space, more greenways and other things that keep in bikes lanes, so that we will have more opportunities for this and a more economic development in our area.
I can't see everybody, so I'm going to stand where you can see me. My name is Raquel Williams, and I am your District C candidate. And as counsel for District C, over the next 2 years, I want to work to create a climate of investment in my district. I want District C to mirror its counterparts. I want it to not look like the orphan. I want it to not look like the detached part of Raleigh. I want it to match Raleigh, hand in hand. And in doing that, I believe we will have one true Raleigh. I want to unite the body of Christ in this city. We have over 600 churches. I want to unite us as one, where we are the Church of Raleigh. I want to make the call of the righteous and authority, whereby the church takes her rightful place as the sovereign rule and authority in the earth. Thank you.
Everybody hear me? My name's Jim Sharon, and I'm running for City Council here in Raleigh on the District D seat. I think, as with most things, there's not any one answer. To our challenges, I don't know that we can solve those in a term. But for me, my top priorities, if elected, first it would be, from a holistic standpoint, to really create an identity and a sense of place. You have to start somewhere. For me, my home and the seat that I'm running for is District D, so we'll start there. And from there, expand it out to the city. But I want to create an identity and a sense of place. More specifically to that end, we need to, because we include part of downtown that butts up with Eugene Weeks' district, we need a dynamic multi-use downtown. We also need a transit system that's multimodal and nimble that can handle the demands of the 21st century. And I think that our growth, which is something that we should all be proud of, doesn't have to come at the expense of our neighborhoods. So we need to engage in an honest discussion about how to help that growth fit more seamlessly.
Good evening. My name is Brian Fitzsimmons, and I'm running for Raleigh City Council District B. I have a lot of priorities, but certainly my top ones would be, as soon as I'm elected, to be a steward and an advocate for Raleigh's strong financial footing and to continue that. We need to have a little bit of humility. We are a strong and vibrant city, but that does not give us the opportunity to rest on our laurels. We must advocate an environment of progress and not regress. We must advocate an environment of justice and equality. Those are the things that are important to me. Those are the things that day one when I'm elected, those are the things that I'm going to focus on. Thank you.
My name is John Odom, and I am the city council for District B, and I came tonight thinking that I wouldn't lose a vote or gain a vote because this particular area, Pullman Memorial Church, is far, far away from District B. We're outside the belt line. It's been annexed all the way out. But I also found out that there's one gentleman here who I made a new friend that's from District B, so I'm going to have to work him hard on his vote. And I'm glad he's here. But I also know that once you're elected, no matter which district it is, that you represent all the city of Raleigh. So therefore, I think it's important to come here tonight. One of my key issues is the transit, and District B has areas in way out that our transit bus stops are terrible. We have three particular locations that the bus stop transit is actually a guardrail that you sit on. That and the New Hope tributary with North Shore Lake to make sure it gets dredged out, and Brentwood to Day Lake so that we can stop the flooding that comes on Capitol Boulevard.
Wayne Majorano, running for District A. We need selfless leadership, sound judgment, and strategic thinking. We need to ensure we have a strong economy through ensuring that we are a market leader and have a competitive edge nationally. We need to ensure safety in our entire city, in our downtown, in our neighborhoods, on our greenways. And we need to ensure that we maintain our financial strength and our health. We do that not by stopping spending. We need to invest in our community if we want anyone else to invest in it. But we need to invest in a smart way, in a way that we don't waste money, your money.
First, I'd like to thank our host for tonight's event. I'm Randy Stagner. I'm running for re-election to the District A Raleigh City Council seat.
A little closer.
Okay. I'm a retired Army Special Operations Colonel. Spent most of my career with units at Bragg, the 82nd Airborne Division, 18th Airborne Corps, U.S. Army Special Operations Command. After 28 years of military service, my wife Deborah and I chose to live in North Raleigh for the quality of life. It's that quality of life that helps to retain and attract a quality workforce, both well-trained and well-educated. That in turn attracts a variety of businesses that help to underwrite our tax base and make it so that we have the lowest cost for service in the Triangle and one of the lowest costs in the state. And yet the city provides an excellent degree of service for our tax dollars. My top three priorities are public safety, transit, and water quality. I'd greatly appreciate your vote on October 8th and really want to hear from you, not just now, but always. With your support, I promise to keep Raleigh a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Marion Baldwin, running for my fourth term on City Council. 4 priorities: growing the Innovate Raleigh initiative and making our region one of the top 5 centers for innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. This is something I've been working on for the past 2 years. We're making great strides. It's very exciting, but we're ready to take it to the next level. Moving transit forward. I've been talking about this for 6 years or more. It really is the right thing to do for so many reasons, whether it's land use management or moving, helping our seniors get to where they need to go. Number 3 is protecting the Raleigh brand through improved communication efforts in our city. Communications Task Force really recently made some recommendations to the City Council and City Manager. I want to see those through. And number 4, working with our new city manager very purposefully to achieve the above goals, but also to secure a new lease for Dix Park. Thank you.
Maybe it's,
Good evening. My name is Russ Stevenson. I'm Raleigh City Councilor at large since 2005. It's a pleasure to be here and be with you tonight.
all right.
During my time on council, I've really watched the city
Okay, but they're not
grow
coming into-
to be in the top of the rankings in many ways, and it's because it's not by chance. It's because of a lot of hard work to provide high-quality services at affordable cost that attracts great jobs while growing in ways that protects the quality of life for people who are already here. My top priorities going forward are to continue to increase our mobility choices. That encompasses more pedestrian-friendly neighborhoods, bicycle access, and transit in all its forms. Those are really keys to us succeeding. Second, and I'm getting short here, we really need to work much closer with our schools. Education is a fundamental ladder to success for our society, and we need to encourage new thinking, both in ideas in the city, skills, and ways of working together, delivering services, and engaging our cities to keep us healthy and competitive in the long run.
Good evening. My name is Robert Williams, and I'm running for the at-large city council seat. About 6 or 7 years ago, I moved to the city and discovered an amazing place. And I'm running for city council because I think this city is on the precipice of taking a great leap forward and taking its place as one of the great cities in this nation. And we're going to do that with financial responsibility, with innovation, with safety, and basically making this a city a shining beacon on a hill.
I'm Nancy McFarland. I am currently mayor and running for mayor again. I do want to thank the League of Women Voters and Wake Up Wake County for hosting this forum tonight. You know, Raleigh is a great place, and we are continually at the top of the national rankings, which means that everybody's moving here to enjoy it. So growth is absolutely our biggest challenge. It also brings a great deal of opportunity. It brings a great deal of prosperity, new jobs, but it also brings us some big challenges. Transportation, water and sewer infrastructure, water supply, preserving the environment, maintaining the quality of life. We really need to focus on maintaining what it is about Raleigh that we love. Transportation is going to be key to the future. It's going to guide our growth, our economic development, and we really need to make sure we get a plan on the ground, because it's a lot easier to develop around a plan than it is to try to retrofit something in 20 years later. I would say that keeping our economy strong and keeping our place as #1 in the nation is my top priority.
Hi, my name is Robert Weltzine. I'd also like to thank our host for having this event tonight. I am a chiropractor, I'm a professor, I'm a captain in the military police, Army Reserve. My biggest concern with Raleigh right now is our debt, okay? Right now, the population has increased 50% in the last 10 years. But our debt has increased 350%. Our city debt is currently at $2.4 billion. That's a lot of money. All right. So my goal is to help get some financial responsibility on that side, but we also need to be sure to take care of the people. We still got a homeless situation. We also have police and firemen that can't even live in the city that they protect because of the cost of living. So I'm running to help with them and their overall mission. So thank you.
Thank you. I think is there a corded mic that, okay, so let me take the cordless, move it a little further down, and you guys can share the corded mic. Okay, so now I'm going to start with, District C, a couple of questions. Raleigh currently has a shortage of about 40,000 affordable housing units, and that shortage continues to grow each year. Where should low-income people live in Raleigh?
I'll start it off.
Okay, okay, all right.
When you talk about affordable housing in Southeast Raleigh, I think in affordable housing, it should be equal across the city of Raleigh, not only in one area. when you're talking, because people want to expand and want to live in different areas, so you shouldn't saturate just one area with affordable housing. It's a good thing that we have it. We do need it. People in their down luck as far as what we can afford and what we cannot with the economic recession and coming out of it. So yes, I agree that I think we should expand the equal playing field, that we have it in more than one district in the city of Raleigh.
Okay, I think Ms. Williams will go next.
Can you repeat that question?
Raleigh currently has a shortage of about 40,000 affordable housing units, and that shortage continues to grow. Where should low-income people live in Raleigh?
Well, I definitely don't think they should live in public housing or Section 8 housing that just keeps people at low income. I definitely believe and would ditto what Councilman Weeks says and spread them out. But spread them out with a plan, not with the intentions that you have low income and you stay low income, with a plan to move past your current earning potential. So if it's subsidized housing, if it's going to be paid by in any form or fashion through taxpayers' dollars, I think it has to be connected to some type of plan, program that would elevate that individual's entry and exit. I would like to see a program that actually deals with not only just affordable rents, but mandatory debt payoff, mandatory savings, to whereas when that individual comes out of that low-income housing program, that they are in a better position to afford a home. Thank you.
I have to agree with these two. I think that low-income housing should not be basically sequestered to one area of the city, but the city with a lack of 40,000 affordable housing units and growing, it's definitely a citywide problem. So the question of a geographic location of where to put people who may be less economically advantaged than some other people is more of a question of opening up economic advantages to people, increasing entrepreneurship, enabling people by having a solid foundation in respect for property rights, for respect for entrepreneurship, for the individual to basically pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I think that this city has a long history of individuals doing that, and the city itself at large has certainly made leaps and forward. So I think in terms of affordable housing, we need to make sure that that is addressed citywide.
All right, thank you. All right, I think Ms. Williams will start the next question. Do you support the city transportation bond? Why or why not?
I do not support the city's transportation bond because I do like the mayor candidate. I want to see us start from scratch. I don't believe you can build on something that's broken, because as the demand increases for that infrastructure, everything will just kind of tear down. So I don't support the transit bond because bond is, to me, a short-term word for bondage. I don't agree in going into tons of debt and passing that off. Now, do I believe there's another way to pay for it? Absolutely. We can find a way to pay for it. I don't believe just going and getting the bond for X amount of billions of dollars is going to settle what we need. Millions.
Right. And Mr. Yeah.
Would you mind repeating the question for me as well?
Do you support, I think my mic, do you support the city transportation bond? Why or why not?
I do not support the city transportation bond. I don't support any tax increases whatsoever. I have to agree with Raquel in the sense that a bond is basically placing people in the future in a type of bondage for needs now, and I don't think we can collateralize our future generations in that way. I think that there are demands, but there are free market responses to those demands. I think that the property rights of the people in the city are jeopardized by the transportation bond and what it proposes, and I think that there needs to be more respect for those rights.
I support the transportation bond because right now, even with the $75 million that we came up and agreed with for this, we are still, if we look at it, we are $1 billion over on infrastructure on roads. This does not even cover any new roads. This is to take care of the roads that we already have here, and how can we, as a city, take care of the transportation on towards our roads and different things that's going. As we grow, we need right now to start with upgrading our roads, taking care of curbing, sidewalks, and other streetscapes and things that we need to do. We say the bond and what it would do for the debt. The bond is the safest way to have a program or something in the city of Raleigh to finance, because it's long ranges down the road, it pays for itself, and I agree that, yes, now is the time for us to approve the $75 million for our transportation bond. We need it now.
Thank you. I think I really want to let the audience have questions, so I'm going to move to District D now. Okay. Let me see. All right. The Raleigh City Council has approved development on the outskirts of the city and into the long-range service area, which will require expanding water and sewer service. Should we limit growth in these undeveloped areas, and should growth be targeted closer in?
I think it's important to distinguish between, where as a city we'd like to have growth and then micromanage it and sticking people in certain places. As it relates to water supply and water quality, as a city we can help drive growth in certain areas based on the infrastructure investments that we make. We talked about that a little bit with the transportation bond. Where we draw our utility lines, where we put our roads can help dictate where we're going to allow where future developments are going to be better served.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, and then the next question for you, because unfortunately your opponent is not here. The Raleigh metro region is projected to be the fastest growing in the nation over the coming decade. As the city grows, how do we keep up with increased demands for services given the current economic climate and increased constraints on revenue sources? Should we maintain current or develop new revenue sources? Do you support raising property taxes or impact fees?
It's a good question. I think anytime you talk about raising taxes, that you should have pause for concern. We don't want to do that unnecessarily, but like we're talking about with the transportation bond, it's imperative that we make the necessary investments now so that we don't put ourselves, future generations of Raleigh citizens in a predicament where it's too late. I mean, roads don't just happen. We have to make those investments now.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to District B. This year, the North Carolina General Assembly significantly rolled back the cleanup plan for Jordan Lake and Western Wake County. Raleigh receives a majority of its water from Falls Lake. What are you going to do to be a steward of clean drinking water from Falls Lake?
I think we can't be afraid to invest in that infrastructure. I think we need to do everything we possibly can to ensure the health of the lake, ensure the health of the water. That has a direct effect on each of our citizens. It's what they're drinking. It's what they're cooking in. So I think we need to do whatever we can to invest in that. We can't be afraid to invest in our infrastructure. This ties back to transportation. It ties back to so many different things. We can't be afraid to invest in our infrastructure. So I will be a vocal steward for ensuring that we do that, and that we ensure that we have the cleanest and best water in North Carolina.
Falls Lake is, there was a commission by the North Carolina General Assembly. I think it's still there. I don't think they've added the people to it, but they made recommendations of what we do to the Falls Lake and how we keep it clean. The majority of the pollution at this point is actually coming from Durham County. Durham County is behind on what they're doing. The city of Raleigh is kind of ahead of where we are on our end of the lake. So we need to make sure that this commission, the things that came out of the commission are followed. We also need to make sure the development, we have rules and regulations and zoning and things that are up next to the watershed, and we need to make sure that they are looked at and make sure that they were reasonably adhered to and done. There's some development that comes in and actually does a better job of cleaning the water than the zoning that's there now. So we need to look at each issue or each one individually.
Okay, second question. Okay. The Raleigh City Council has approved development on the outskirts of the city. Oh, no, I asked that one. Sorry. Given that the county leadership has stalled action on the proposed Wake County Transit Plan, do you think Raleigh should increase spending on improving and expanding its own current bus system?
I'm one of those who thinks we ought to do something along that line. I think the problem that we do is we also try to align ourselves with the Triangle Transit Authority, and when we do that and actually follow their guidelines, then we get into a very expensive thing. I think that we can do better with our bus system. I think some of us have already talked to planning, and Mike Keenan, who's head of our transportation department, has given us some great ideas, and I think we ought to implement them. That was part of what I was trying to solve on the transportation bond, but it came down to bus stops more than it did new buses. So I look forward to working on that. I think we do need to create a better bus system. If you take this area in particular here, if you look at all the new housing units that are going to be open in the next 6 months, we're going to need some kind of direct effect or direct solution to that.
Yeah, I think that if you look at District B, certainly where I live, the closest stop that I have is 3 miles away, and that bus comes once an hour. So for me, if I was going to take, go from Mitchell Mill Road to my office on Crabtree, right around Crabtree, it would take me an hour and a half to 2 hours for an 8-mile drive. So I think that if it's not going to come from assistance through a sales tax increase from the county, then yeah, it's going to have to come from the city. We need to invest in our transportation. Cities of our size that are growing and are growing aggressively have strong transportation infrastructures. That we need to invest in that, and it needs to come from somewhere. So if it's not going to be the county, it needs to be us.
All right, thank you. All right, District A. Will you stand up for affordable housing when local neighbors object to specific projects that are targeted towards people of certain income level?
Absolutely. I'll show that through my actions rather than just what I just tell you. I spent a year volunteering full-time for Habitat for Humanity because I cared about the mission that organization had. I spent 5 years on the board of directors for CASA, which houses homeless people and people with mental health illness. I've spent 7 years on the board of directors for Rebuilding Together of the Triangle, which provides home repair services to needy homeowners so they can stay in their homes. Every one of those organizations delivered its services in a compassionate, thoughtful way throughout our entire city and throughout our communities, in our neighborhoods and in our city itself. So that's critical. So yes, absolutely I would.
Yes, absolutely, and quite frankly, it's a bit of a problem up in District A because, quite frankly, the property values are fairly high. The reason that you see affordable housing in other parts of the city is, quite frankly, you get a bigger bang for your buck. You get more property for your money there. A good example of where we could have done this was Charles Drive project. Charles Drive, for those of you who don't know it, is a project that's going in pretty close to Lead Mine and Glenwood. And the folks who live there now in these kind of, well, they're fairly run-down apartments, are the ones who work right across the road. And when I say right across the road, I'm talking about several lanes of traffic at Crabtree Valley Mall. They will be displaced, and where they will go is to be determined. This project will come in. It's not going to be affordable housing, and with any luck, there's going to be an ability for transportation to get these folks back and forth to work. But for right now, because we don't have that solution, we don't know where these folks are going to go to live.
All right, thank you. Okay, development pressures in North Raleigh are increasing, and there will continue to be requests for more commercial and residential development. The city has restricted commercial development in the watersheds, but now new low-impact development technology can reduce stormwater pollution runoff. Should we allow commercial development in the watershed?
Overall, no, but let me caveat that. We did allow a commercial development to go in on the line of the watershed, where, if you will, half of that property would drain towards Falls Lake, and the other half would drain towards the Neuse River and further on downstream, which is better for our water quality buffers. There are better opportunities. We need to begin to demonstrate some of these probabilities or some of these possibilities. With that particular project, we had them with a stormwater mitigation system that would handle 2 hurricanes, and they are required to pump the water to the other side of the ridge. That's a little bit extreme at this point, but we at least want to show that there's the ability to get performance-based in there. Right now, we're going strictly by typology. If you are a certain type of development, you're not allowed to be in there. I think that we need to encourage, certainly, our upstream neighbors who want to develop to have that sort of technology. But for right now, I am against doing that here in Raleigh.
I would say the only absolute that I can give you to respond to that question is that clean water is essential. We need to protect it, we need to preserve it, we need to expand on it. As we grow, we need to know it's there not just today, but tomorrow. But we need to step back and make informed decisions to say, is there innovative, is there creative, is there thoughtful ways that we as a community can work, not only just as our city, but with our developers, with our neighborhoods, within our community, and say, are there ways we can be cutting edge? Are there ways we can protect our clean water supply so that not only us, but our kids have it, but also so that we can manage and balance our growth? Because growth is here, growth is coming. We need to do it thoughtfully, we need to do it candidly, and we need to make hard decisions together.
Thank you. All right, actually, why don't we move the corded mic down? And these are for the at-large ones, and so I think we'll start with Russ and kind of do that rotation. Okay, the city plans where and how development takes place. Do you support the new development code recently approved by the City Council that will increase walkability, density, and transit-oriented growth in some parts of the city? And if elected, how committed are you to following the new development plan called the UDO?
Well, having been on the council through the creation of our comprehensive plan, which is the city's vision of growth for the next 20 years, I think we've got a great plan. There is the vision statement. The UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance, are the zoning regulations that implement that vision. And as chair of the Comprehensive Planning Committee, I've been involved intimately over the last 2 years in developing this UDO, and it's been a difficult process, but I think it is an innovative document. I think it'll be a little bit like the Wright brothers launching their first airplane. It's a new code. We've never seen anything quite like it before. We have high hopes for how it's going to implement our sustainability vision for high quality growth that protects quality of life, environment, and social equity. But time will tell.
Like Mr. Stevenson, we've spent the last 6 years working on the new comprehensive plan, and the past 2 years working on the UDO. The comprehensive plan really
Could you put your mic just a little closer? Thank you.
Yes. I feel like it's down my throat here.
Yeah,
but
that's okay. We want to hear you.
The comprehensive plan really is our guide to growth. We spent a lot of time, we talked a lot about what we wanted to accomplish and what we wanted the end result to be. And the fact is, we want to guide growth to areas that are what we call higher density areas. So we do grow wisely, and we don't have to build infrastructure out to the corners of our cities or outside our city, which is much more expensive. How committed? Well, after you spend 6 years of your life in many, many meetings and at many forums, you are very committed to making sure that the UDO is, the comp plan is protected, and the UDO is the law. So we all live by the law.
I grant you I haven't spent 6 years working on the UDO, but my concern with the UDO is that it shifts the balance of power in a way that we're not quite sure how it's going to play out. There are pieces of the UDO that smack of a little heavy-handedness. I've talked to multiple people who are either property owners, property developers, and they have some grave concerns about them. Now, are those concerns justified? Well, the point is we're not quite sure. So, do I support the UDO? I can't say that I do, but I also can't say that I don't support the comprehensive vision. So I think it's incumbent upon us to take a look at what the UDO is going to do, how it's going to be implemented, and be very, very intentful with that, and be careful about where that balance of power gets shifted.
Thank you. Vanita Payton was able to make it, so we are adding her to the rotation, but we still have another question for the at-large before we move to the mayor. What do you think the role of an elected city council should be in working with the city manager and city staff in governing the city? We can start with you, Mr. Williams.
I personally view the city and the way it's structured as effectively a corporation where you have the board of directors, and then it's up to the CEO, if you will, the city manager, and his subordinates to run the day-to-day operations. Obviously, there's been a lot of concern, everybody's read about it, as to whether or not the direction is heading more towards day-to-day management of the individual groups by the city council. I obviously would not support that. I firmly believe in having the right people in the right place to do the job, give them the right tools and the authority and ability to do it. And then if they don't do it, you measure, you find out if they're doing a good job, and if they are, then you reward it, and if they're not, you seek somebody else to do it.
Actually, I agree that the city is run, in my mind, like the council being the board of directors and the manager being the CEO. Our job is to set the strategic policies that will guide growth and development in the city. I think we've done a great job over the last 8 years that I've been on council. It is a job that's becoming more and more difficult just because of the growth and the amount of time it takes. But still, our job is to set those priorities. It's to set the metrics by which the manager is judged, and to provide adequate oversight to make sure that the policies that we set are implemented in a timely fashion.
When you take the oath of office, you basically are saying that you're going to uphold the laws of the city charter. Well, the city charter makes it very clear who's in charge and how the city is run. And the city manager runs the city. The council sets the policy. Now, I really firmly believe that city council should not be interfering in micromanaging staff. I think that's demoralizing. We have great people who work for the city. You know, I think that we should work through the city manager, and I also think that we can work through department heads. But I believe that we have to treat people with respect. I don't think we should insult our employees, and I feel very strongly that we should be respectful of them and what they're trying to achieve.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll move on to the mayor now. Mayors, potential mayors. Okay, we can start with Mr. Wilson. Did he started with, who started with the?
That's okay, I'll take it.
Oh, okay. Correct me if I'm getting people out of order. Okay, programs that intervene to keep people from becoming homeless in a crisis cost the taxpayers less than emergency shelters and help in rehousing. In January 2013, there were 921 adults and 179 children who were homeless in Raleigh. How would you work to shift policies and resources to keeping families housed through a crisis?
Okay, thank you for the question. First of all, I believe that a nonprofit organization should be the leader on this project. With that, we can go ahead and funnel all of our resources to one centralized location and provide a roof over our city's needy and provide a table for them to sit down and eat three meals a day. We also need to be able to provide medical services to them. Education services. We need to find out exactly why they are homeless. We need to find the problem, why this condition has occurred. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Ms. Payton, would you like to go next?
Well, good evening to you.
Could you
First
put
of
the
all-
mic just a little close? Yeah, good.
First of all, we need to understand that we have people standing on the edge of about to become homeless because we have many people living in motels who are spending $250 a week up to $1,000 because they cannot afford to pay a month's deposit and utilities and first month's rent. We have another population of people who are turned away from renting because they have a felony. There are different property managers who will say, if it's 10 years, we'll forgive it. If it's 7 years, no. And then we have them trying to fill out applications. And each person has their own application fee. So that sets them further back too. So I'm not quite sure who has the money for ending homelessness, but we definitely need to look at the entire picture. Because some of us know that the Section 8 program is about to change big time. And that's going to set even more people back.
Thank you. I mean, this is obviously a very complicated issue, and one of the great things about the Raleigh area is that we tend to work in teams. We work with the county, we work with great groups such as Triangle Family Services, Passage Home, and it really is a coordinated effort. You're right, when there are many different pieces of it, you know, mental health and relationships, and it's a very, very complicated problem, and it's not really helpful to try and push the entire thing off on any one organization. In fact, I'm sure everybody realizes there's a meeting tonight that's really drawing on the strength of multiple community partners to just address one little piece of that, and that is how do we get food to those in need. So I think that through continued partnerships and strength, working with not only our nonprofits, but with the county and other services, faith-based services in the area, that we'll continue to address the issue.
All right, the next question we can start with Ms. Payton. The Dorothea Dix property has been a hot topic for several years. How committed are you to negotiating with the state for use of Dix property for a park? And do you believe our city should take on the significant long-term expense for creating a major destination park?
I am less committed in turning it into a park because I don't think that was ever asked of the people of North Carolina as to whether they wanted a park or if they wanted that area to be used as it was initially envisioned. That is, specifically for the people who have mental challenges. Went back over for a second time this weekend and noticed that there are 700 marked graves over there, 900 altogether, a lot of people. And it seems to me we could use that area to help even more people with mental challenges instead of simply bussing them away or assuming that all they need is a bed. So I would hope that we could work with the North Carolina Medical Society and some other groups and really, first of all, use it for the mentally challenged first. And anything that's left over, then we can consider others.
Yes, Nancy, and then Robert Wilson.
Oh, I am so committed. Are you just, I felt like this was all I did for the first 2 years in office. The decision was made by the state a few years ago to close that as a mental health facility. We all know about the need. We are fortunate that another smaller, obviously, facility did recently open up in Wake County with Rex Hospital, stepping up to fund that. I've worked very, very hard on this. As everybody knows, we had a lease. We had a signed lease and a contract. This legislature has decided that that lease is not valid. We don't really agree. However, I do appreciate the governor's willingness to work with us. We are going through a very detailed process to evaluate the property, and really it comes down to the argument of fair market value, and that's different in everybody's eye. The state has given thousands of acres across the state for $1, sold to municipalities for economic development. So you can't look at it as the value per acre. You have to look at the long-term value for the city, the region, and the state.
As far as Dix Hill, I'm a little concerned because there hasn't been enough transparency on that issue. There's been a lot of closed door sessions. This city council has set closed door sessions just to schedule meetings. Okay, this is our government. We should know what's going on. Okay, and everyone should have a voice in this process. So for me to make a good judgment error right now, what we should do, I don't know. Okay. Until I know all the facts, then I can make a better decision. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to start with audience questions, so people can begin to line up behind the mic, and the questions are going to resume that rotation. So when you ask your question, you will be able to ask it in succession by district, and that's just how it's going to work. And in the meantime, as people are lining up, I want to welcome a couple of judges, Judge Anna Worley and Judge Dan Nagel. Thank you. And I also want to point out someone I know quite well, former Commissioner of Labor, John Brooks. Okay. All right. So we don't have a lot of audience questions. Okay. We can start with the fellow in the green. If you would speak directly in the mic, and you will be addressing District C.
My question isn't for, it doesn't apply to that district.
Okay. Well, then we need a question for District C. So if there's somebody in line that wants to ask a question of District C, they can go first.
No, nobody in C.
I don't know. There's somebody coming. And also, please give your name, okay?
Sure. My name is Rocco Pasurce, and my question is, under the UDO, do you think it's a good idea that we plan to make Raleigh a more dense city, to make it a subcompact city, yes or no?
Okay, and we can start with, I don't know, Marcus Hill.
I'd have to say no. I think that turning Raleigh into a subcompact city, population density, and essentially micromanaging the growth of the city by herding people into subcompact cities, it smacks in the face of the American ideal to begin with. I think it's basically an Agenda 21 United Nations push, and I'm against it.
I worked on the UDO, and I agree with the accomplishments that we made in the UDO, and I think we should continue down the road on the things that we are doing to make sure that density is a part of the city of Raleigh. We also are talking about what we can do more when we're talking about the density areas and the different things that we can do to make sure that everyone supported the time to do the things that we need to do to make sure that we have the proper areas that we need for our city.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, under the UDO, part of the planning is to make Raleigh more dense, to essentially long-term make it a subcompact city. Do you think that's good to increase population density?
I'm not opposed to that.
Okay. All right. Next question goes to Jim Sharon from District D. Anybody from District who wants to ask District D a question? Sure, go ahead. State your name, please.
I'm Christina Terrell, and my question is, beginning with, there's some very fragile neighborhoods in District D, and I would like to know your specific plans for keeping them stable and secure.
Sure. I think that I think we need to have an honest discussion with all of our neighbors in District D, and particularly those that live in the neighborhoods like you're talking about, to see what exactly the concerns are. I know for some people it's the height of built projects. For others, it's the number of floors because of the perceived number of residents that might be there. So we need to look at that, and sometimes that's just going to depend on the projects that come up. I know we've got a lot of multifamily projects that are coming in. In a lot of ways that's good. I understand some of the concerns about increased congestion. And we need to find the happy medium. On the one hand, with those high density developments, we do get better return on our investment as a city, and we're putting people closer to employment centers, places where they can recreate, and that's a good thing.
All right, thank you. Anybody for District B?
Actually applies to any of the
Could you state your name? Your name?
I'm sorry, Tom Hadley, and applies to any of the North Raleigh districts. The way the city's developed is there's a lot of donut holes where there are people receiving the services but not paying city taxes because developers have annexed into the city, but other people haven't. And so with the new legislation that was passed in the recent session, is there anything we can do to annex those folks that are getting the services but not paying the freight?
Well, let me, I guess it's my turn. We do have donut holes in District B. There are probably 7, 8 of them. One of them in particular has a major problem that it has contaminated water. And it's going to cost them a lot of money to come into the city of Raleigh because they haven't paid on their tap-on fees. Anyone that's getting services from the city of Raleigh that's not in the city of Raleigh, their water bill is double what your water bill is. So we are charging more for the services to those that are not inside the city limits. So that's a little bit of a myth that they're not paying, because they are paying a whole bunch more. And we'll pay more until they decide to come in the city. And we can take them in a voluntary annexation. We just can't do it the old way. So we are moving forward, and we are charging them extra.
They should absolutely be paying for what they're using. It's a fairly simple premise. I think that if they're receiving services from the city, they should be paying for them, and they should be paying for them to the extent that they're using them. So I think that it certainly is. I agree with Mr. Odom that it certainly is something that they should be paying for, and I think they are. There might be cases where they're not paying for it as much as they should, and we should look at that. But I don't believe that it's certainly right now as much of a problem.
Okay. District A.
Well, he's in my district. Can I ask him a question?
You'll have to go the next rotation because we need to give everybody a chance. So who has a question for District A?
My name is Michael Yoryu, and I wonder why all you people are saying that the water quality is so good here. In the last week, 4 of my friends and myself have had emergency kidney stone surgery right over here in Rex Hospital, and go to the urologist afterward and see what's actually in the water. It's not as much as you think it is. And that's clinical evidence. You know, we live in the kidney stone belt. And, you know, everybody's saying, we're paying for water, you're paying for this, you know. The surgery cost me, it billed me $57,000 for a 2.5-hour surgery for drinking water in Raleigh. So yeah, it's a great commercial for Raleigh, but I'd like to know what is going to be done if you're going to possibly look into making the water better quality for everybody else, so you're not going to have all these increased costs.
Okay, thank you. Let's let them answer.
Okay, real quick, I'm the city's representative on the Upper Neuse River Basin Association and also the Stormwater Commission liaison. So water is kind of where I'm interested. The water quality that comes out of Falls Lake is actually very good. The water quality up to NC 50 is not so good. That's where a lot of what runs off from Durham goes into the lake. After 50, the lake goes down is very deep. We pull anywhere from 50 to 70 million gallons a day out of Falls Lake. We do treat it some. I'd like to treat it less. We have a request in order to do more with ultraviolet for disinfection and less with chemicals. So that's in process now. We do have plans to put other water systems online, but overall, our water quality in Raleigh with the exception of your kidney stones, is actually very good.
Well, first, let me tell you, I'm really sorry to hear about your situation. That is unfortunate, and I think that we owe an obligation to take a look at if there is an issue of concern, not just with water quality in North Raleigh, but throughout our city. I think the issue isn't we have perfect clean water. The issue is what are we going to do to preserve, protect, promote, and ensure we have clean water, not just today, but for the years to come. We're growing. We are going to continue to grow. We are developing. We are going to continue to develop. We want to preserve and protect our neighborhoods. We want to protect our greenways. We want to protect our water supply. That's going to take people who have experience, knowledge, training, education, understanding of how to do it, bringing them to the table to get engaged in the conversation, make sure we're properly testing, properly treating, properly developing, so we know it's there for us when we need it.
Thank you. All right, at large.
I'm in District E, and there's no representative here from
I
District E.
know, I'm really sorry.
But I'd like to ask a question, so can I direct my question to the at-large candidate?
Absolutely. And they're next. So it's your turn. And if you could state your name, please.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth Axtell. As you know, many, many more people are traveling by Amtrak. I think the ridership is up 20%. So what I want to know is, what are you going to do, or what are you doing to speed up the construction of Union Station, and also to, in some way or other, bring about improvement in the travel time on those trains, if you have any influence at all?
Good luck. Okay.
Thank you for that question. I think we do have, we spent a lot of money and made investments, and actually just got a $10 million Tiger grant to help us complete Union Station. We have long-range plans for Southeast high-speed rail. The Obama administration has put many millions of dollars towards that. Most of those improvements have been in the track in North Carolina, have been in the track between Raleigh and Mecklenburg County, Charlotte. The funding sources for these kinds of projects are federal funding sources, and it's obviously a very constrained budget environment. I think that even so, Raleigh Amtrak Station, I think, is like the #2 highest ridership in the Southeast. So there's a lot of trips that are coming through, both up and down the East Coast and back and forth to Charlotte. So the ridership is increasing dramatically, and I think as people continue to ride and enjoy that alternative mobility, then we'll speak with our pocketbooks and with our votes to elect people who will continue to fund those Amtrak and other kinds of transit alternatives.
I don't think it's any secret that the legislature is rather hostile to transit and train service, and there's also a lot of discussion among the federal government about how to continue to fund transit and Amtrak. You know, what we've done is really try to work very hard with Senator Hagan's office, for starters, to help secure that Tiger grant. We worked very hard with the State Department of Transportation and continue to do so. And you know, allowing them to do their job with the FRA to make sure that we can secure the funding that we're going to need to build the station. Amtrak, well, I think if we had the power of fixing the Amtrak trains, we wouldn't be sitting here.
I agree with that completely. Oh my goodness, Amtrak. Elizabeth, thank you. And by the way, I'm glad you asked that question because that's my daughter's name, so I'm glad Elizabeth is being represented. You know, I personally think that it's great to have a train station right there. It'll be beautiful. It'll be a great thing. I'm very glad that they were able to get the grant to finish it off. I agree that we have to look at what ridership is and how it is self-supporting. Far too often, you know, when high-speed rail or other light rail goes in, the cost far exceed the estimates. Generally, the average is about 33%, and then they are never self-sufficient. We're talking about having high density, and that's great, but the density has to be exceedingly high before Amtrak starts making money. So yes, it's great. I hope the federal government keeps funding Amtrak, but I would be leery of any light rail projects just in general without knowing the financial impacts.
Thank you. Would you like to ask your question of the mayor?
Yeah, anybody,
Kennedy.
yes, ma'am, including
Okay.
the mayor. Anybody
Okay,
can
yeah,
answer,
okay.
including John.
Well, it's the mayor's turn
My
now.
name is Jihad Shaw. I'm from the Muslim community here. And I've been living in Raleigh for the last 20 years, 10 of them with the city of Raleigh, so as a resident of Raleigh. And I have a dream. But first, I'd like to thank Pauline for having this wonderful meeting, and for the mayor and the city council. You guys been doing great for the last 10 years since you got my place. My dream is, I live in North Raleigh, close to Mitchell Mill Road. That's John's area. And if my car went broke, or I want to tell my son
Can we have a
to
question?
take the what?
A question.
Yeah, the question is, how you gonna create, Raleigh's gonna be a great city, and it is a great city. How would you gonna make that transportation system more effective, not only for the poor, but even for the rich, or for the moderate, average person like me? If my car goes broke and I want to tell my son, take the bus and go to the city, or go to see the doctor, or whatever it is, how he's going to do that?
Okay.
Would you explain this to me? Thank you.
Okay, great.
Anybody wants to answer this?
Okay, great. Mr. Wilson, would you like to start with that one?
Thank you. As far as public transportation, I would like to see, I work up in Chicago also. I've been down in Austin. I've been to a lot of the top 10 cities. And a lot of them have more efficient means of transportation than what we're talking about here today. We could go with smaller buses, small 15-pack vans even. Okay, they use less fuel, they cost less, we can get more on the road, more pickup times. Okay, right now I see a lot of people on buses, and it might be 4 people on a bus. Okay, I'm concerned about how cost effective that is. So that's one option there. The Bike to Go program is another great option, but the Bike to Go program, I'd like to see that being funded by private sources instead of the city paying for it. Thank you.
Well, hello, sir. I'd like to know where you live.
Mitchell Mill Road, that's News River, just that big subdivision, and Raleigh saved us with the water. So
Yes, yes, we know where you are.
help me, please, and help my kids and help my grandkids.
Well, as far as I know, if you need to get anywhere in the city of Raleigh, there are smaller buses that go to certain areas to pick up. So I'm surprised that anybody can't get around. It's not just for the poor people or just for the rich people. It's for anybody who's willing to spend a few quarters to get on it. So I'm surprised that you can't get around, and I'm sorry to hear that. But from what I understand, mostly people can get around the city quite well in a bus. I've been here almost 30 years. Please, please. I do a lot of traveling, trust me.
Thanks. That is a great question, and it really goes back to what we talked about, which is the plan. And when we look at the plan that's been developed for Wake County, it's multi-phased. And we hear a lot about light rail, we hear about commuter rail, we hear about Amtrak, and we hear about high-speed rail. But when we look at the plan that the TTA has put out and Wake County's involvement, at the base you have a light rail system. That is many, many years in the future. What we have to do first is develop an incredible bus system that everybody wants to use and that works for everybody. As someone mentioned earlier, an hour headway between buses does not work, because until you have a great bus system, whether it incorporates streetcar or bus rapid transit or whatever, you really need that to fundamentally support a light rail system that will then tie it all together. We've been to other communities, we've seen how it works, we've seen how you need to roll it out, and what the Wake County plan is a long-term vision that incorporates multiple modes of transportation, but starts with that fundamental great bus system that will get you where you want to go.
Okay, thank you. All right, District C, we're going to go one more round, and then we'll have closing statements.
I actually have a question for the mayors.
Okay, well, then you'll have to wait, because we're going in order.
Hi, my name is Anand Cole, and my question specifically was for Raquel
Well,
Williams.
you have to, they all have to answer it.
Well, it's more pertinent to a specific statement she made.
No, the question, you can ask her afterwards, that's fine, but in the forum, all the candidates have to be able to address the question. So
Okay.
there aren't any questions for District C?
Me.
Excellent.
Okay. This
And
is
your name is?
my name is Quatisha Clark, QT, and this is for District C.
Great.
I'm a little upset by at least two of my future, probably perhaps council people who are saying that they do not agree with the bond. Do you all know what's the bond entail, the transportation bond? It entails street lights. And for you all to live in District C, you know we have the highest poverty rate when it comes to crime also, when it comes to unemployment. So what do you suggest? Street lights helps crime. So if you all are familiar with the broken window theory, so again, I ask you, what do you suggest?
First of all, you have answered mine. That's why I support the transportation bond, and that's all I need to say.
I am familiar with the broken window syndrome. I'm familiar with Sept. I do understand that environmental design can reduce crime. That I know. But I do also understand very well that it is the light in people's hearts that rules them when the police go home and the street lights go off. So the issue that we have is not necessarily a bond issue. We have a nature issue. We have a heart issue. We have an injustice issue. And it's those issues that my platform chooses to address. You can have street lights all day. Doesn't mean crime will still not exist. You can have street lights all day. Unemployment still will be, because there are deeper issues that need to be addressed. So I didn't say I oppose it altogether. As it is right now, I do not believe in going into further debt to pay for it as it is right now.
Okay, Mr. Hill?
I think that there are other ways to pay for the streetlights that we definitely do need in Southeast Raleigh. I think one of those expenditures, a lot of streetlights could be bought with cutting some unnecessary spending. There's a lot of what are called leisure services or arts and parties, which are great. At the same time, basic infrastructure like streetlights might need a chunk of that $72 million. So I would definitely support building infrastructure. I just don't think that we have to go into copious amounts of debt in order to make sure that we are moving in the right direction towards building that infrastructure. There's revenue available if we simply look at where it's being allocated and if that's a proper allocation.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, if we could pass that mic down to Mr. Sharon. Okay, we need a question for District D. No questions for District D? Okay, great, thank you.
Hi. It's a two-part question. Mr. Sharon, since you seem to be the youngest one up there, I first asked, do you have any children in the school system?
Could you say your name, please?
Christine.
Okay.
Any children in the school system? And the second part to that question is, how do you feel about the school bond?
I don't have any children at all, but I'll be voting for the school bond. I think it's something that's very important. Most of us have talked about making necessary investments in our infrastructure, in our city, and I feel very strongly that education is the single most important investment we can make as a community. And I'll be voting for it. I'll be encouraging my friends who've come and gone through the school system to vote for it, and I hope that you will too. It's good for our schools, it's good for our teachers, and most importantly, it's good for the students.
Thank you. All right, District B. District B, coming, going. Really, nobody wants to ask District B? Okay. All right, you can ask it, but it has to be much, much shorter. A quick question.
80 seconds, Mayor, start counting. John, how long is it going to take you to get that park you talked about it 20 years ago?
I'm not sure, but we've done quite a few parks in District B. We've done Horseshoe Farm Park, which I led the fight to have that done. It was kind of a dead deal when I first got on the council. We've done the Buffalo Athletic Park, where we have a nice swim club there, and so we've done that. But there is one still out there, and I'm not sure. That's the one. I will get to work on that tomorrow. Okay. But since I still have some more time, I'm going to answer my first question about the gentleman about the annexing people in. He actually, his community, we did go out and help put water and sewer in, and in the end, we annexed them in. So that's how that kind of works in that thing. So, and I also like to talk about. I'd also like to talk about the since I've still got my time, is to answer the question. You didn't ask the oldest guy on the thing about his children. I don't have any children in the school system either, but I had two that went through the public school system, and it was fantastic, and I do support that bond.
Well, it's funny. I actually live up near you. I live right off of Mitchell Mill Road as well, and so the more of those parks, the merrier. And so I can certainly assure you that as your counselor, I'm going to be a strong advocate for that. But I think also to join my my counselor here, I do have two children in Wake County Public Schools. I have a 4-year-old in the pre-K autism program, and any implication that pre-K classrooms are somehow expendable is completely and utterly disrespectful, and it is a travesty and a shame that any implication like that would occur. So if they want to ask what the worth of those pre-K classrooms are, they can come and ask me.
Thank you. All right, District A. God, all you people, you're all going to try and fight for at-large and mayor.
I have a question. Do either of you have
Could you state your name?
Yes, Donna Bailey. Do either of you have any conflicts when it would come to representing what the neighbors want when it comes to against developers or, rezoning? Where what the neighbors are wanting is not coinciding with what large developers. Is there any kind of background information we should know as voters?
Absolutely. I have sat on the Raleigh Appearance Commission for 3 years. That is probably the single most important community advisory group that helps our city and, most importantly, our neighborhoods decide what's good quality design, good quality development for our city. I was appointed to that commission 3 years ago and was reappointed to that commission a year ago. The city council appoints those positions. I was appointed by the city council that was led by Charles Meeker. Many of the folks sitting up here were on that city council. I was reappointed. All these folks were sitting on that city council, and every one of them, I'm aware of no opposition for me being there. I was asked to do that in both cases and to stay on. Why? Because I bring a balanced, I bring an informed, I bring an understanding perspective of the importance of balancing our neighborhoods and our development. I live in the original North Hills subdivision. I moved in there in 2000. I moved in before the old mall got torn down. My house was turquoise with a white roof and an oak tree I could not hug. That's why I moved in there, because I wanted that kind of neighborhood, and that's the kind of neighborhood I'm going to fight to protect.
I'll be a little more direct. No. I'm a fully retired Army Special Operations Colonel. I treat this as a full-time job. The reason I'm on so many various council liaison positions is because I asked the new mayor when she came in to load me up, because I was going to have the time and I really wanted to roll up my sleeves and get to work. The number of hours that you spend on council is significant. You have got to be able to show up for meetings, for council meetings, for committee meetings, for your liaison council meetings, and that kind of varies throughout council. And I also strongly recommend that people go to the CAC meetings, because if you want to know what's happening before it gets to council, make sure that you understand what the ground truth is. You can find out from the CAC and from your neighborhood organizations.
Thank you.
All right, at large.
My name is Nancy Brooks. I want to make one quick comment. I think Raleigh has a wonderful parks and recreation program. It is just great. This is kind of a localized question, but I would like to know what the thinking was or is about how this area is going to handle all the traffic that's going to come from those apartment buildings going up beside Cameron Village and the ones on St. Mary's Street, Peace Street. How do you think these streets are going to handle that traffic? What's the thinking on that?
All right.
First off, we depend on traffic studies to have an understanding of what kind of traffic will be developing when a developer comes forward. But in Cameron Village, it's a special situation, and I think there's a three-pronged approach. Number one, we have to look at how transit, bus service, can help aid in that so we don't have cars coming and going all the time. We have an R-Line service right now downtown. Why can't we have an R-Line type service going from Cameron Village downtown and other areas of the city? I think it's worth looking at. Number two, I think we have to do a follow-up study very soon as to, what kind of traffic is actually happening. You can guess, but until people start moving in, you don't quite know the facts. So that's the second part. The third part, 15 seconds, the third part really is enjoying the walkability, because people, that's what we're trying to create, walkable centers, and I think people will enjoy that. They're going to move there, whether they're seniors, 50 plus, or other people. They want to be in areas like that now.
We'll see.
Well, so I'll take my turn. Yes, with this idea of more compact, walkable, mixed-use development comes the challenges of that density. And of course, we have a great 20th century infrastructure of car-centric development. And fortunately, the Cameron Village area has been spared 5-laning large sections of that. And so there's been an attitude in that area about the benefits of walkability. Now, with the density, our citizens who've been involved in the comp plan and the plan for around this area have said, yes, we understand that we don't want sprawl, and there is another alternative, but it is going to depend on promoting other kinds of patterns of development that do promote walkability, biking, and providing the transit infrastructure. Now, the market has been very active in saying, yes, we really do want that authentic, walkable urban experience in the Cameron Village area. And they've gotten ahead of us in terms of providing those transportation, those mobility alternatives. But I think what we will see, I've gotten the council and everyone else in the surrounding neighborhoods and the owner of the shopping center said, let's do a detailed study so we can really understand the metrics that are around that, what the values are, what the long-term vision is for that area.
Well, I can't tell you what the thinking was, but I'd tell you kind of where some studies, if we're talking about metrics, some of the easiest thing to do in the world, and it's something that nobody's really talking about much, and I'm a little surprised by that, is timing the lights. It's relatively inexpensive, and it speeds up traffic flow dramatically, and study after study after study shows that. I think the idea of having an R line, expanded R line, would absolutely expand ridership. For those people that don't want to live in a compact city, there are alternatives. But we as a city have basically said we want high density. And as such, there will be high density pockets. They won't exist at Briar Creek yet, so we have to make sure that those that want high density can live there, and those that want low density can find a place to live and get into the high density and out of the high density when they need to.
Thank you. The mayor. The last question goes to the candidates for mayor.
I'm glad we can agree that clean water is...
Could you state your name, please?
Yep, Katie Haberman. I'm glad we can agree that clean water is one of the most important issues. I know that some very concerned citizens over the past year have been addressing the Raleigh City Council in regards to the debate between fluoridating chemicals and clean water. These statements and suggestions and information brought forth have been ignored, and new science over the last couple of years has come out stating that it is harmful.
Could you
as
state
mayor,
your question?
how do you plan to address this issue going forward?
Okay, Benita Payton can go first.
Well, first of all, I'm at a disadvantage since it wasn't presented to me, okay? So I would need for you to tell me more about it. I'm very distressed that the young man was here earlier saying that he suffered kidney stones and had to pay $52,000 or so for medical care, and that nobody in here is jumping up and down. I mean, that is a huge public health concern that we should all have. So I would definitely want to know what it is that you want to present. But really, I'm ignorant as to exactly what it is that you're wanting to have done, but you deserve to be heard, and you deserve to have a decent answer in an orderly time. And I apologize that you did not receive that from these folks.
We do have some of the best water quality in the entire country, and I'm very proud of that. And you're right, you have been to council multiple times talking about your concern of fluoridation of the water. This council has looked at that. We've read all of the information that you've presented. We've also done research with the Public Health Department. Fluoridation of the water is one of the biggest successes that this country has ever seen in public health. It reduces cavities. And it really speaks to the community that can least afford dental care. The Public Health Department, both nationally and in the state, reviews this continually, and at this point in time, they have determined that water fluoridation with exactly the kind of chemicals that we are using and exactly at the levels we are using is safe and effective. We did, about a little over a year ago, reduce the level of fluoridation upon the recommendation of the health department, so we have been responsive to that, but clearly the benefits outweigh any perceived threat.
Hi, thank you for the question. You know, as a chiropractor, we're always looking at, you know, what is the safest, most natural approach to help the patient out, okay? I'm not familiar with that study, okay, that you're citing. However, I'm also concerned about that gentleman that had that $57,000 surgery. I do want to know more. If he's still here, I'd like to talk to him later. But yeah, we need to be sure that we're providing a safe product to the public, okay? And we need to monitor that. I'm glad to hear someone mention that we're looking at UV lights in order to help sanitize the water. It's very important. But overall, we need to be sure that the water's safe and that it's not causing any harm. So, and I'm not quite sure why we don't look at more of a storage. Okay, we don't have a water shortage problem as much as a water storage problem, especially after this last spring. Okay, we get enough water here, we should be able to collect it and store it for emergency uses. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think because we've had so many great questions, and I think people do want to talk to the candidates afterwards, we're going to shorten the closing statement to 1 minute so that people can meet the candidates. So, Mr. Wilson, if you would like to start, and the closing statements will be 1 minute.
All right, thank you. My name is Robert Wiltsine. I am running for mayor. I am concerned about the direction that the city's going in. I do believe that we can be a top 10 city in the world, not just the United States. We have a great potential here, but we need to control our addiction to tax increases. We need to stop nickel and diming the public. We need to control our water. I believe we can provide the basic essentials that good government needs. We need to take care of our police and firefighters, our city employees, and I think that we can take care of our teachers also. Again, my name is Robert Wiltsine. If you can come out and vote for me on October 8th, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Vanita Payton, and I'm only running for mayor because Raleigh is out of balance. I don't know how anyone could not see how difficult it is to sit back as a citizen and see closed-door meetings happening time after time, and we're insulted by being told that we don't need to know. Particularly when someone fires your chief executive officer, who's responsible for all the building that's going on for the last 12 years, and not tell you why, and interview a new person and not tell you who, then that is why I'm running, because I think you deserve to know, and that is the kind of mayor I would be to you. I certainly wish that I had time to talk to each of you individually, but I don't tonight. I hope at some point to offer an incentive to people who are unemployed, the long-term unemployed. Since we're offering incentives to companies coming in, why can't we offer an incentive to companies to, first of all, hire the long-term unemployed so that we can get them back into action? I certainly hope I'll get your vote. I appreciate your allowing me to be here and look forward to talking to you again, perhaps at another forum.
Okay, it's been a great honor to serve as your mayor for the past 2 years. Raleigh is an incredible city. We are the best place to live in America, and that is because of all of the hard work over the last 30 years, all of the planning, and really everybody in this room. We're so fortunate to have the amount of citizen input. I'm amazed every single day about the time the people are willing to put in and dedicate to make their community a better place. You know, everybody has something special about Raleigh that speaks to them, whether it's the parks, whether it's your neighborhood, whether it's our incredible art scene. And it's really all of those things together that really make us. This is an incredibly exciting time. But we can't really take anything for granted. We always have to be one step ahead. We have to be constantly working and make sure that our economy is strong and thriving. This is a global economy. Business could go anywhere. But what we know is that businesses will go where people want to live, and we certainly have accomplished that because people are moving here. You know, in the past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to work with mayors across the country, and what I've realized is it's not about party. It's all about building relationships and partnerships and moving the city forward. And I hope so much that you will come out and support me on October 8th because it would be a great, it would be a humbling experience and an honor to be your mayor for 2 more years. Thank you.
My name is Rob Williams, and I am running for at-large city council. I would greatly appreciate your vote on October 8th because I believe this city is one of the best places I've ever seen. I've lived all over this country, and this place has things that other cities just envy to no end. And we are on the precipice of becoming one of the greatest cities I've ever seen. With all the innovation that's happening, with all the exciting businesses that are moving here, we have the ability to be more than what we are today. And to do that, I think that it's going to take a great deal of financial responsibility. It's going to take a great deal of leadership, and it's going to take a great deal of foresight and vision. And I would appreciate your vote on October 8th.
Well, Rob, thanks for the endorsement of the job we've been doing for the last 8 years on council. Yes, right. And it really is not by chance that we are now at the top of the national rankings, but it's by a lot of hard work, doing a lot of fundamental things right every day, every week, every year, so that we can make thoughtful choices and trade-offs between providing quality services at an affordable cost, attracting good jobs to this area, but also managing that growth in a way that protects the quality of life, builds our economy, protects our environment, and creates opportunities for all of our citizens. Now, as an architect and urban designer, I've brought a lot of experience to the job, and the area of growth is one that I have a lot of expertise in, and it's been a tremendous experience to be able to share that and learn from the city. I'd say most of all in a country where gridlock in politics is really the rule more than the exception. It's been fantastic to be here in the city of Raleigh and to work with diverse stakeholders to craft consensus decisions that really move us forward together. So I look forward to continuing that effort for another 2 years.
Thank you for all of you for being here tonight. At the beginning, I told you that I would work toward innovation and entrepreneurship, which I have been doing the past 2 years. That really translates to job growth. I told you I work to move transit forward. I told you that I'm going to work on initiatives to improve our communication efforts, make sure we're more proactive and responding to citizens. I want to thank you for supporting me the past 6 years, past 3 elections. I want to ask respectfully for your vote again, and I would also like to encourage you to vote for the transportation bond and the school bond because I will be voting for both of them. Thank you.
When Red Hat moved its headquarters to downtown, their CEO, Jim Whitehurst, said the old paradigm of business has changed. He said that employers now must go where employees want to be. The city of Raleigh doesn't throw incentives at various businesses because we don't need to. And the reason we don't need to is that they don't need to throw it at potential employees. Although I do believe that Mayor Meeker did give Red Hat reduced parking. Our local schools, colleges, and universities are the base of our economy in Raleigh. The RTP, our high-tech industry, and associated businesses are our economic engine. Our quality of life is what fuels that engine. That is our secret of success, our golden goose. Our quality of life, our way of life in Raleigh, is under threat from the State General Assembly and those who want to make a quick buck, quite frankly, at our expense. I pledge to fight those forces, and with regard to Dix Park, should our good mayor and the governor not reach an agreement, I'll see the state in court. I am a fully retired Army colonel. I treat my job, my part-time job, as a full-time job, and I don't go to bed at night until I read every constituent email. Again, with your support, I promise to keep Raleigh a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want you to know one thing about me tonight. I care deeply about our city. I am a product of the opportunity this city has to offer. I moved here in 1994 because I knew this was the place I wanted to raise my children and to start my career. I have spent the last 19 years intimately involved in community activities. I'm married 24 years. I have 2 teenage daughters. I care about the opportunities they have. I enjoy the pleasure of working downtown, the opportunity to live in an old neighborhood in our city that's protected, and I can go up to Blue Jay Point and cycle and enjoy our open space. That's important. That's what we need. That's what I'll fight for. But I will do it in a transparent, selfless, thoughtful way, one that engages not in party, not in politics, but in candid discussions about difficult issues of concern to all of us.
Well, let me thank everybody tonight for coming. I represent the largest geographical district in the city of Raleigh, District B. It is the largest populace in District B. It is the most diverse district in the whole city. And I am physically the largest counselor. So I think that works very well. I am for police and fire. My dad was a policeman. My mother was a teacher in rural Scotland County, and so I'm for those issues and always have been, always will be. I am a big parks advocate. Sig Hutchinson's in the back. I worked with him on the top 10 Greenway issues in 1993, and we got those completed within a year and a half. But obviously my work's not done. There's one more park I got to get done, and I pledge to do that. Vote John Odom, October the 8th.
How am I going to follow that, man? I will say I'm not. This is my first run for public office. I am not a politician. I have never imagined myself as one. What I will say is I go into this trying to steer away from a lot of the hyperbolic talk and a lot of the moving forward, all the buzzwords, things like that. I want to do what's right. I want to come in here and I want to do what's best for my sons. I want to be able to advocate for things that are important to me and important to my family. Day one, there are a number of things that I'm going to do. Day one, the Raleigh City Council can and will pass a strong and comprehensive equality ordinance protecting citizens based on their sexual identity and gender expression. Day one, that will happen. Day one, we will implement in our city of Raleigh, we will implement programs that protect our AAA bond rating. We will implement programs that move us in the direction that we need to move. I will be a steward of progress and not of regress. I strongly urge you and respectfully ask for your vote on October 8th. And I'll build 9 parks if you want me to. Honestly, I think I might have a hammer in my truck.
I enjoy the parks too. Look, as I've had the good fortune of being born and raised in Raleigh. My folks are from here, still live here, work here. Went to Broughton, went to NC State, made what I say for me was a very easy decision to stay right here at home, and and I love it here. And I take a little bit of exception to what some have said. I think that this is the best city in our country. And my reason for wanting to run for the District D seat is because I want to keep it that way, and that takes planning that's thoughtful, that's progressive, and that's purpose-driven. And as a city, we need a clarity of purpose, and that's one thing that I would work towards. You know, keeping Raleigh one of the best places to live, work, play, raise a family is something that's very important to me as I'm going through those processes. I have yet to raise a family, but you know, that's one thing that's very attractive about our city is the opportunities that it affords you. And I'll be out supporting the school bond and transportation bond, and I hope you'll come out and vote for those and vote for me on October 8th. Thank you.
I want to first thank you guys for coming out, and I thank all of the new candidates for coming out. I was very excited to see younger people running for office. There's a statement that says separation of church and state. We've heard that. And I want to let you know that that's impossible. You cannot separate one's heart from his actions and his deeds. You can't do it. Just the same when you had equal work for equal pay, that did not change the fact that women were paid less. When the Supreme Court ruled that segregation was unconstitutional, that did not change the experiences that African Americans had. So you can change and make all the laws and policies, codes that you want. If the hearts of man are not at the table to line up with the true intentions of God's will, then we will continue to have this disaster. So it's real simple. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people mourn. Choose thee this day whom you will serve. Amen.
First of all, I'd like to reiterate that I support the school bond because it's not about us, it is about our kids and the teachers. I support the transportation bond because it's about all the citizens in the city of Raleigh. This transportation bond was very inclusive of all of the areas, so I support that. I feel good about the things that I've accomplished in the last 2 years and a half being on the city council. No, my job is not done, but I believe as we move forward that we can accomplish the things that we need to get done to make sure that the quality of life, not only in Southeast Raleigh, but also in the city of Raleigh, that we all can come to the table and talk about the things that we have already done and how we can move forward to make sure that we have progression in our city, not regression. And I definitely support, again, please vote for Eugene Weeks. If you're not in my district, you have to vote for me. You cannot vote for me, but I'll definitely take your support. Thank you very much.
Once again, I'd like to thank our hosts for putting a great deal of effort into putting this all together. Thank my fellow candidates for taking the time out. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out also of your busy schedules to come here and ask questions of us this evening. My name is Marcus Hill. I'm running for Raleigh City Council in District C because I believe in private property rights. I see the city of Raleigh touting itself as a sustainable city. I encourage everyone to look up the definition of that. I encourage everyone to come to the Raleigh City Council and ask them directly what plans are in place to sustain your property rights. I think it's important. I think October the 1st is a great opportunity to do so. I encourage everyone to email me at freeraleigh@hotmail.com with any questions or concerns. I'd certainly be happy to address them. freeraleigh.org is the website as well. And I, once again, would like to encourage you all to look into Agenda 21. Look into how that affects all these fancy buzzwords of smart growth and land use, et cetera. They sound nice, but where do you fit in that model? That's a very important question you need to ask yourselves, and thank you for your time.
I would actually ask everyone to come out on October 8th, if that's okay, not October 1st.
October 1st is when the Raleigh City Council meets Tuesday evening at 7 p.m.
All right, all right.
Please vote for me on October the 8th.
Well, come out to both then, really.
Please, yes.
Okay. I want to thank Pullen Memorial Baptist Church for donating this facility. It's a wonderful facility, and I really appreciate our being able to use it. And also, if you go to the Wake League website, lwvwake.org, all of the candidates, click on voter information, All of the candidates' websites, current websites, are available, so you can find out more about them. And also, if you're interested in coming to meet our new superintendent of instruction, we have a luncheon to meet him and talk about the bonds on the 27th. And one of our co-sponsors just has a few words to say.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tayon Dancy, a member of Western Wake Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, and also a board member of the Wake Up Wake County organization. I just want to extend a sincere thank you on behalf of all of the sponsoring organizations, Wake Up Wake County, League of Women Voters, Delta Sigma Theta, Congregations for Social Justice. And we just really want to thank the community for coming out tonight. You came out in large numbers and created a very engaging environment tonight. So yes, a round of applause for the community that came out tonight. And a round of applause for all of our candidates represented here tonight. And lastly, there are signs available for you, yard signs. If you'll hold those up in the back, please on your way out, please pick up those signs if you so choose. They're relative to the bond, and I think there are also some campaign information available for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I really want to thank all the candidates for their willingness to run for office. We know that it's a very difficult job, that running for office and serving, and we really, the citizens of Raleigh are lucky to have all of you. Thank you very much.
This has been the 2013 Raleigh Mayor and City Council Candidates Forum, presented by Wake Up Wake County and the Wake County League of Women Voters. Election day for Raleigh is Tuesday, October 8th. Early voting runs September 19th through October 5th. For more information about these and other candidates, please visit lwvwake.org.